Good morning, Jeff.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Going on, Jamel?
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I
Okay,
like your
Jeff, we're
place.
gonna let everyone else in the meeting here, so
Thank you.
everyone's gonna come in here in just a second.
Looking great,
Looking
looking
for us,
great.
Jeff.
Anything you wanted to say before we let everyone in, Jeff?
No, yeah, I think the flow's real easy. I got it.
Yeah, I'll give you a little intro for you and then we'll do it.
Okay, sounds good, man.
I'm gonna let everyone in.
Hi, everyone.
I think we're just waiting for Anna.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Hey, Calvin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We got special guest Jeff on the meeting today, guys. Very
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing
Hey,
much.
Jeff.
How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Good, man.
All right, we'll give it another
Hi,
minute.
Jeff.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity. I've learned a ton of stuff from Jeff myself, guys, over the years. And just a great wealth of knowledge in Jeff's mind when it comes to insurance. So we'll take advantage of this. Also, guys, we'll open it up with like questions for him too. Like if you guys want to ask him anything specific. All right, guys. So we got the special guest here today, Jeff. Jeff, thanks, man. I appreciate you doing this. I was just telling the team, I've learned so much from you and just picking your brain over the years. And it's definitely molded me and my mindset and the way that I handle things with customers, and the importance of kind of the way, we go about things with, advising people and not just running quotes and just mindlessly trying to just make commissions. It's a much deeper, more important thing. So I just wanted to kind of kick it off to you. If you want to just give like a quick background about what your operation and then what you do and kind of how you've gotten there. And then we'll dive into some of the questions where I'll just, ask you rapid fire questions on some stuff.
For sure. Okay, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, so really quick, I'll keep it super short about me and then we'll dive into the fun stuff. But yeah, I was a team member, worked for an agent in the Bay Area for about 2.5 years. Did it right out of school. I'm just bred insurance. My dad was an Allstate agent for 40 years. I sold a newspaper in college and I was, ranked really high in the country every year for doing this thing. And when I graduated, I had a kinesiology degree. I wanted to be like a physical therapist or, go into exercise science, which was my degree. Right. But my dad told me, I remember I was having dinner at a little Mexican restaurant after I graduated. And I was like, I just don't know what I want to do, Dad. And he was like, well, I'll tell you what, son, if you could sell a damn newspaper like that, you should try selling insurance. And I said, okay. So I got my licenses. I worked for an agent for about 2.5 years. And then I interviewed. I was up in the Bay Area and my family's down here. So interviewed, took the spot, got my agency in Torrance. Now it's 6.5 years later. So been in insurance for, about 9.5, 10 years. And learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes over the last 6.5 years. Chris and I have a great relationship because I'm able to inform him on all the mistakes that I made earlier on, and we and he helps me with all the mindset stuff. So we have a really great, really good relationship where we bounce a lot of stuff off of each other. I've heard wonderful things about all of you and all of your achievements, and kudos to all of you. You guys have all developed beautifully over the last couple of years, and the agency just sounds like you guys are doing some really wonderful things. So good job to all of you. But yeah, so that's kind of my background. My agency layout is I have more of like a in-book sales team and an out-of-book sales team. My in-book sales team handles all our service calls, stuff like that. On average, we'll get about 40 to 90 inbound calls a day. So they're servicing our clients, making sure that they're helped, making sure that they're happy, making sure they're feeling good, and then obviously pivoting, cross-selling, making recommendations for gaps that they have. And then my out-of-book sales team is pretty much like Calvin and Brian. All their sole focus is just literally quoting. It's quote, sell stuff. That's all they do. Quote, sell stuff. We're really big believers in financial services. We're one of the largest life insurance producers in LA and also the country, which we're really, really proud of. So that's a big thing that we focus on as well, is not just the PNC game, but also, God forbid, if our client doesn't show up tomorrow night, right, we can make sure that that family lives the same lifestyle that they have right now, and that they're not going to be financially devastated by loss of life or permanent disability situation like that. So that's kind of the agency layout. That's kind of our focus, our vision. Obviously, our focus is growing, growing, growing. And then also, we're all in the boat right now of rate increases and all the crazy stuff going on in California. So it's a very interesting time right now. But on the sales side of things, there's never been a better time to write stuff, because it's really the ball is on our court right now. It's never been ever where we actually have control. And that's kind of the market that's kind of allowed itself to open in the last year. You can kind of look at it in two ways and say, oh, wow, insurance is hurting right now, and this kind of sucks. People can't get insurance, right? So like when people say, hey, I want to shop you out, I mean, have you tried to shop, so anyways, we'll get into all that stuff. Chris, what's your first question? And I'll stop blabbing and I'll start being a little bit more focused.
No, for sure. Okay, so yeah, that was a great little intro, and honestly, you could have kept going. That was good stuff. One of the main reasons why we have you, Jeff, is because of your really, really good ability to paint pictures and be an advisor. Like I said, drive the wedge is kind of a term that Jeff has coined, where you really kind of drive doubt into customers' minds and really make them think about their insurance more than just what's my rate. So I guess first question here for you is, what do you do normally? Brand new prospect, brand new call, new lead, in a nutshell. How do you go about that, with a brand new lead that you're talking to?
So how you view yourself in your own mind is how the prospect or the potential client will view you, right? So for example, when you come out and you just say, hey, let me get this quote rolling, I'm gonna save you some money, blah, 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 let's help your business, whatever. But the way you approach it is like, hey, for example, we do things a little bit different. And by that, what I mean is I protect you from those injury lawyers you see off the side of the 405 freeway. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about your family and finances to make sure that I can get you exactly what you need. Sound good? Right, so I've kind of set the precedence before I'm even starting the quote that like, we are different. Okay, I'm not just going to save you money on your auto insurance, and God forbid you kill somebody next week and they take all the retirement money and now you can't retire on time. That's not what my job is, right? Because then you'd be upset with me realizing that you only have $50,000 in injury coverage, right? So we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to ask you a couple financial questions. I'll make any recommendations may need be. And then it's all about what Chris mentioned, right? Being an advisor versus being a quoter. The number one difference is the questions you ask. If right now, when you're selling auto and you're explaining liability limits, okay, you're doing it wrong. Okay. And I know that can be a little black and white. It's like, whoa, like, I've been doing this for years and I've been, yes. But to change that, before you open up your liability limits, like a great question would be, hey, John, are you aware of how your bodily injury limits and your bodily injury and property damage limits can directly affect your retirement savings? Very loaded question. Okay. The prospect says, whoa, what are you talking about? Right. And you say, well, definitely. When's the last time you sat down with your insurance agent and went over your policy coverages in detail? Every word I just said is very important to state in that question. Not, hey, when's the last time you talked to your insurance agent? They could have made a payment yesterday, right? When is the last time you sat down with your insurance agent and went over your policy coverages in detail, right? They're going to say, been a little while. Sure. How did you choose those limits? Most of the time people say, I don't know, right? You say, okay, what are you trying to protect with those limits? Right? And then they're going to say, well, what do you mean? Well, for example, and I just heard this and I'm going to steal this from a training I just had. We had a couple lawyers come into our office a couple weeks ago and we were just asking them about lawsuit situations, right? I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but in California, if you're under 40 and you have a serious car accident, they can sue you for 10 times your income and your assets. Okay.
Say that one more time, Jeff.
If you're under the age of 40, okay, and you're involved in a bad car accident, okay, because of the three attorneys we were asking questions, okay, they can sue you for 10 times your income and your assets. Okay. So with that being said, because you're 35 years old, what do you make annually right now? Right. Okay. 60 grand. Okay. Perfect. I notice you're a homeowner. How much equity do you have in the home? Okay, perfect, right? You do some simple math and you come up with a liability need for $700,000, just like that, right?
Real quick, I want to ask you a question. A lot of times people are you're gonna start going there and they're gonna say like, well, Jeff, why do you need to know my income? Why do you need to know how much left is on my mortgage?
So the only reason why customers will say that is because you're not confident in what you're doing. I've actually never had someone ask me and say, why do you need to know that? Right? Because I make it part of my process, right? I say, sir, I do things a little bit different, right? And I'm not just going to save you money on auto insurance and then a week later you permanently injure someone and lose your home. Okay. So in order for me to do my job, I need to know what we're working with. So what do you make per year? Right? Because if it's okay, you go see a physician. They're not just going to sit there and sell you on the next best pill. Okay. They're going to ask you questions about your symptoms, right? So that they can make a recommendation to fix your sickness. You need to be the professional. You need to be the doctor. You need to sit there with a clipboard, ask quality questions, figure out what questions start to build concern and change yourself versus being a quoter to an advisor. And I can send Chris a list of those questions for you guys. Like we use them, I train on them all the time. Like when we role play, guy, a lot of the times it's like, what questions are you asking? Right? How are you sounding? Because I don't care about what you say, right? Remember, 55% of the reason why someone buys is really how you present yourself, right? And when a lot of the business that we do is over the phone, right? So if you sound sharp and you sound like you have good tonality and you can tell you're smiling behind the phone and you take pride in what you do, you will naturally write more business versus the same person that says the same exact thing, but just sounds a little down and maybe lack of confidence and isn't excited, right? So, but within that, when you ask the right questions and you get the right info and you start making recommendations based on actually protecting people. I wrote this down before I spoke, and I just heard this in another thing and it really resonated with me. We all, as a licensed professional, have a fiduciary responsibility. Fiduciary means responsible for our clients' money. So if I don't ask these questions, you could actually sue Chris and I. Because, for example, right, when they buy a full coverage policy from Adelfia Insurance and they got 1535, okay, and then God forbid they kill somebody and it's minimum $1 million, if not two, okay, in an auto accident. Guys, you're selling insurance in the highest accident prone state in the country. Okay, these things are not far and few between. We're not selling insurance in Louisiana and there's a population of 3,000 people per city. There's 11.5 million people in a 45-mile radius. That's a lot of accidents, right? Okay, so when I start to talk to people about that, they start to think and start to say, well, why the hell is my guy not giving me this info? That's the difference you need to start making, because then price starts to go out the window. And don't get me wrong, guys, you're going to have your 63-year-old woman living in a trailer park, man or woman living in a trailer park, living on Social Security that says, I need $40 a month insurance. Of course, cater to the client, get the deal. But in the normal sense, right, you need to start changing the way you look at yourself as an advisor versus just a client, and master the craft, right? Read a few books on liability recommendations. There's a couple great authors out there that you guys can look up. One of them being Tom Hegna is one that I've given to Chris. The guy is awesome, just talking about like how to make liability recommendations. Like, how do I learn the knowledge to change what I do every day to get different results, right? Everyone right now on this call, we all do something a certain way, okay? But we may want something else. But if we continue doing the things that we do right now and expect different results, that's insanity, right? And you cannot make changes till you learn new stuff to do. I mean, obviously, Chris furnishes great training. I use the RPOA, all that stuff. So, I mean, really, when you guys are doing that stuff and you hear this new stuff, use it, right? Create it, make it your own, study it, be a master of your craft, because it will come back to you in your commissions. And it won't feel like you're having to sell, because now you're advising, right? Those are two different things, right? So hopefully that's helpful just to kind of hit that first question. What else you got?
I mean, you kind of really ran through some of the other stuff that I was going to ask because the next things were like, what really kind of information do you uncover? So the main thing you were saying there is like income, the
Yep.
assets, um, you
And
know,
two assets, guys, are equity in home and 401k. Okay. 95% of Americans that are preparing for retirement have their money in a 401k. That's fine. Okay. However, if taxes go up with our $36 trillion deficit in this country in the next 30 years, by the time we all retire, that 401k is not going to get taxed at that 20%. It may get taxed at 36%. Therefore, you may outlive your money. Right. Anyways, that's a separate conversation.
yeah, a little bit different.
But equity and 401k are the easiest way to just have those two questions prepared. Hey, John, before we get going, what do you make per year? Okay, 50 grand. Why do you need to know that? Well, John, in order for me to do my job and make a recommendation, I need to know what I'm protecting. So I'm just going to ask you a couple financial questions and a couple questions about your family, making sure we give you the right liability limits and maybe make sure that we can give you all the discounts that we need. So what do you make per year? Okay, 60 grand. Great. Tell the story about, hey, my job is to make sure that I protect you from those injury lawyers you see off the side of the 405. That kind of makes sense, right? We do things a little bit differently. You can tell them, hey, if you ever cause a really bad accident and you're under the age of 40, did you know that they can sue you for up to 10 times your income and any assets that you have? So talk to me about your assets. What are you protecting with your current liability limits, right? They're going to say, well, I have a home. What else do you have? Like, you have anything for retirement? Yes, I have a 401k. Great. What's in there? Why do you need to know that? Again, John, I need to know what I'm protecting in order to make a recommendation. Okay, I've got about 100 grand and I got about 100 grand in equity. Okay, 100 grand, income of 60K times 10. Okay, I'm just doing some simple math. 600K, 100K, 100K. Okay, we have an $800,000 limit that you need protection for. And in your current plan, John, with Progressive, I don't know when the last time you sat down with your insurance agent and went over this, but did you know you have coverage for 50,000 bucks? Right? And did you know, so you can start to where they start to
How do you
say,
drive the wedge a little deeper there? Like, what would you do if you didn't have, sufficient, or
yeah,
what would you do if there was a claim that was, $500,000?
exactly. So, I mean, I would just say, my job again is to inform you. Okay. And whether you choose to do business with me or not, I need you to know these things. But I do know in your current situation, if this happened, what I stated, this scenario, okay, you hit somebody, God forbid they're permanently injured and it's a $700,000 loss and you have coverage for 50K. If you were financially responsible for that extra 650,000, okay, where would you get that money? Right. And start to dig into like, right, our job as insurance professionals is to paint pictures. When I speak, you think of photos in your mind. Okay, you think of pictures in your mind. Like if you ever read a really good writer, they're very descriptive, right? They every single in the paragraph, every sentence has multiple photos that come through your mind. That's what makes a good book. Okay, so you need to think about that when you're advising, is that you're talking in simple enough terms to paint that picture for it to become real to them. That's why when I don't have their financial information, right, or their assets or their income, it's not as personal as it can be once they start thinking about those scenarios and those photos and it actually happening to them. Right. So that's how I really start to drive that wedge, is gather that information, paint a simple scenario, tell a story, right? Any situation. I'll tell you probably the one most worst story I've ever heard of liability. So it was actually a State Farm agent. This was about 10 years ago. Okay. He I don't know his name, but he's out in San Bernardino. Great agent too. Big producer. So he just they just had a baby, right? He's running the agency. He's got a baby. He's been married for a couple years. He's driving. He's running late to an appointment. And basically there was like a red light that popped up. He went over some train tracks, something. He went over like a speed bump too fast, and he knocked his laptop down in the passenger side. So he's trying to grab his laptop really quick, right? And doesn't realize that there's a red light. Okay. So he screeches to a stop. Okay. Mind you, in the middle of the crosswalk was a woman with her newborn child in a carriage. Okay. He bumped the woman and the baby flew out of the carriage and the baby actually passed away. really, really serious, tragic situation. They sued for 2.25 million for the expected average income, time of working towards the time of retirement, obviously pain and suffering. That agent had a $2 million umbrella to basically cover that lawsuit situation. The agent still had to come out of pocket $250,000. Right. So my question is to you, if God forbid a serious incident like that happened, how would your current policy cover you? Right.
Yeah.
So
And
telling a story can be very impactful as well.
Jeff, I guess okay, like this is also just speaking for myself too. Where I get stuck sometimes myself is like there is an emotional kind of discomfort. There is a level of discomfort when you go to these kind of like intense scenario painting pictures, or even just asking for financial, like how do you get over that feeling of like discomfort and just asking the difficult questions and letting a question land like that? How do you get over that?
So a lot of it's in the tonality. You notice when and again, this is the worst possible situation. This one is a very like back pocket story because it's very, very sensitive because it's about an infant passing away, right? I mean, it's very emotional. There's plenty of stories of lawsuit situations out there, but I mean, I think it's the way that I mentioned in your mental state, how you view yourself, right? So if you tell yourself, I'm an advisor, I'm confident in asking the difficult questions, right? I'm going to make a difference for my clients. And you tell yourself that, right? You're going to be just fine. You're going to kind of start to ask those questions and really impact people, right? If you get a little nervous and you feel like, oh, maybe I'm going to upset them, or maybe I'm going to bug them, or maybe they're going to take this the wrong way, right? It's how you're talking to yourself, right?
Mhm.
Then you're saying like, oh no, I'm just going to stay comfortable. I'm just going to save money, right? I'm just going to save money. I'm just going to save money, right? So you need to kind of change that language that you're talking to yourself with, right? And just realize in order to get really good in this industry, you have to be okay disturbing people. Because think about what we protect clients from, right? We literally protect them from catastrophic loss of life, inability to work due to sickness or injury, liability exposure, right? The number one reason why people can't retire is because they had some serious lawsuit situation throughout their life that we should have covered.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna again, right? The number one reason why people don't retire is because they had some serious lawsuit situation that we should have covered. So again, John, I'm going to ask you a couple uncomfortable questions because I need to do my job as an advisor. And again, we do things a little bit different. And my job is to protect you from those injury lawyers you see off the side of the freeways. You following me?
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like you just have to set that stage and continuously keep yourself in that light of like you do things different. Right. Because a good exercise too, if you guys ever have like called like your competitor and gotten a quote, it's very
On that.
very robotic. I mean, they're quoters. They say, okay, great. They don't care about how you're doing or how long you've been married or how you met your wife or, you just sharing excitement for knowing the names of their kids and all the wonderful things that they want to achieve in the next 10 to 15 years financially and how you can help them that if a major catastrophic situation happens, they can still achieve those goals, right? You have to realize like what we do every day is actually, I truly believe, like the most beautiful profession, right? So whether you're protecting a client in the sense of achieving their goals later on down the road, no matter what happens, right? Making a client bulletproof, right? Life insurance, disability, making sure they have health insurance, and making sure they have the proper liability limits, right? Those four things are the reasons why people don't achieve their goals because something happened, right? Oh, yeah, John got sick. He's battling cancer. Now he's in debt. Unfortunately, I didn't realize he needed disability insurance to keep the mortgage.
And Jeff, just to be kind of like a little more specific, because we really like our main bread and butter focus is like the contractors, like GL, work comp, commercial autos, and then we do all the personal lines, as you know. Ours is not the obviously like the financial aspect of it too, with the disability and life insurance. Like that's a huge part that I think that is not something we've developed enough. But as far as like let's just like maybe on the commercial side, what would you kind of say about that as far as like exposures, yeah, business owners themselves?
So a lot of the times your larger commercial cases are going to come down to the servicing of the account, right? They're not going to want to switch because you save them $3,000 and then they got to email for a certificate of insurance and call and call and call and call and say, God, where's the damn certificate? I need to make my money, right? Which, we all deal with that all the time, right? So when you're selling in the commercial market, you have to figure out to the business owner, like, what is important to you about your insurance company, right? And then when they tell you, I want a good price, sure, why is that important? Well, I want to keep costs low. Definitely. Give me a little bit more. Why is that cost low important to you? Well, I just lost a couple people. Business is really slow right now. I need to cut some insurance costs. If I can do that, right, that's what I want. So, John, if I can deliver on those three things that you just mentioned and make sure that the service that we provide is better than you have right now, can we get your commitment that we could do business together? Right? With your business owners, it's going to take longer to quote. Okay. You're going to have to, it's a little bit more of a follow-up game. You need to pre-qualify your prospects. How many times have you guys had it where you quote a $15,000 household and then they say, oh yeah, well it's I'm so sorry, actually my agent is my wife's cousin's brother and removed twice and now he's back in the family, so unfortunately we got to keep the insurance with the wife, that family member. You're just like, why didn't this guy tell me this before I quoted it? Right. So I think you got to really pre-sell your commercial accounts, figure out what's important to them, and make sure that you have the confidence to tell them that we're going to deliver that type of service every single time and come in with a competitive price. Now, if we do those things, can we get your handshake that we do business together? Right. And just something that you're trial closing versus just gathering all the information, getting out a quote and then following up and say, will you buy? Will you buy? Will you buy? Will you buy? Right. There needs to be a little bit more of like a pre-sell. And also asking a business owner and caring about the business, right? Chris and I put our blood, sweat, and tears into our businesses, right? And if somebody sits here and starts asking us like, hey man, how'd you get involved in insurance? Right? I'd get all puckered up and spend 20 minutes telling them about me and my business, right? Do that with your business owners, right? Get them to like you, right? Don't just do the quote and be all quoting and be like, oh, great, we're going to save you 10 grand. Okay, great. Here it is. Give me your credit card. No, be like, hey man, how'd you get involved in gardening? Was your dad a gardener? Oh, no way. Okay, so you took over the dude. That's awesome, man. Where did you start and where are you now? If they're doing well, congratulate them for that. It's not easy, right? Make them start to like you, right? Also, your business owners, I
Genuinely being curious about that too.
caring about the client, right? Your contractor people, they're going to be more cutthroat. They're going to cuss you out. They're going to hang up on you. Trust me, we've been writing them for years. But when you slow it down and care about their business and the person that they are, and then when you get that commercial business, move on to the personal stuff. And that's where I would say start really using that advising piece that I just mentioned and the liability limits and all that stuff. Guys, if you're saving them money on the commercial, you're going to get the personal lines every time if you pivot and ask for it. Right. And then there's going to be a direct need. The number one objection my office and every office struggles with in life insurance is I have it through my job. I've never met a business owner that tells me that. Right? Because they are responsible for all the benefits that they provide to their family. So super easy pivot for life insurance. I know Chris is like working on that, slowly for the office, but a super simple way is because you guys are so heavily focused in commercial, sell life insurance in units of $1 million. Do not give a business owner a life quote for $100K. That will do nothing. Okay. Just tell them, as a business owner, the other obligation I have is to make sure, God forbid, if something happens to you, your wife does not need to figure out how to pay the employees, how to keep up with the mortgage, and how to get under a house and double check if there's a leak in the plumbing. Okay, well, my job is to make sure that you and your family live the same lifestyle that they have right now if you were gone tomorrow. So we sell life insurance in $1 million units. Okay, what does the business make per year and what do you take from that? Okay, you make $250 a year. Okay, great. I would recommend 10 years of income replacement. So here's a $2.5 million term. It's $380 a month. I would say, John, can you agree? Would you say your family's worth that? Okay, great. Let's do an application. Easiest way, just simply to pivot from commercial, save them money, care about the business, get the personal lines because you saved them money, right? And then from that point, pick a financial service product that they do not have through their job, right? And simplify this very complicated game, right? I heard something earlier that I wanted to share, and it's something for you guys. You guys have all, and Chris has told me about all of your successes, right? Look for patterns, follow patterns, create patterns. Okay. When you as a salesperson, Chris as a coach, look for patterns, follow patterns, create patterns. And within that, what I mean is like, notice I just gave you a system in two seconds. Okay. Focus on business owners, make them feel good about their business, save them money on their business. Don't do more than you promise. Do what you say you're going to do. Okay. Just be a man of your word, woman of your word. When we say we're going to deliver and I'm going to do this, I'm going to get you this quote by 5 p.m. tonight. Don't do it tomorrow morning. The guy's not going to buy from you. He looks at you and says, that guy, why the hell would I buy from that guy? He can't even do the first thing he said he's going to do to me, right? Be a man of your word. Get these people what you say you're going to do. The rest of this industry, guys, is lazy. And that's why it's easy for us. Okay. When you say what you're going to do and you come through, the owner says, damn, this guy knows what he's doing. Wow, Brian came through. I mean, this guy's sharp, man. You know, they've got to trust you. They got to give you the keys to the car and say, here, the car's yours. Right. But your business owners, you got to really make them trust you. Because like I said, Chris and I, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. We work 7 days a week. Okay. There's not a day that I've woken up in the last 7 years that I have not thought of my business upon my eyes opening. Okay. And when I go to sleep, it's the same thing. So it's a 365-day, 24-hour-a-day thought process. Okay. We do not think differently. Okay. But in order for me to give some sort of my business to someone else that's responsible directly for the success of my business, I better damn trust that person. Because if I don't trust them 100% and I'm only 99% certain, there's no way I'm going to give them my business. Because I'm not going to jeopardize my business. So you just have to realize that about your business owners. Talk to them, be sensitive about their feelings, talk to them about how successful they're doing, and build them up, butter them up on that, right? Get that business, pivot to the personal lines. And then after that, talk to them about a simple life policy. Keep it term, don't overcomplicate it. Hey, I've heard about whole life. Absolutely. Whole life's great. Let's get your foot in the door. Let's guarantee your insurability for the next 20 years. We'll talk about that next year. I've never delivered a death benefit and had the family members say, what kind of plan is this? Right? They're just grateful for that $500,000 that they're getting, or they're grateful for that $1 million that they get, right? And remember, death benefits are the only thing that are transferred to a beneficiary completely tax-free. Just remember that. Yeah. So hopefully that's helpful. Just, little systems like within, because I know you guys, and I was going too far in the financial service hole, but keep it simple with your business owners. Chris, what else? What's the next question?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you're definitely running through some of my questions, which is great. I'm going to let you keep going. The other thing I was going to say, I mean, okay, let's actually open it up, guys. Do you guys have any questions for Jeff? Anybody, just anything they want to ask him so far? The other thing I was going to ask you, Jeff, is for one of the large cases, for example, let's just say like Your Way Tree Service, or one of those that I know you've worked on, because mainly, like I said, we're focused on big contractors. What has been your experience and what have you done to get some of those larger accounts across the finish line?
So like I said, if they don't trust you 100% and they trust you 99%, they're not going to switch. So you have to be on the top of your game. You need to remember what you promised to them. Hey, I'm gonna get this quote turned around by Tuesday. If it's not done by Friday, they're probably not going to switch.
Or actually like the actual process of getting your foot in the door, following up and like actually closing them from like start to finish. What did you do? Like, how have you done it?
That one was crazy. I mean, so one of the things you guys have such an advantage on over like any captive agency is the leads that you guys are getting right now is really just slim to none. So the way we get commercial leads is I go on Google, okay, and I look up tree service companies and I make a real cold call. Okay. And they say, Your Way Tree Service. And I say, yeah, great. Hey, are you guys located off blah, blah, blah Broadway? And they say, yeah. And I say, okay, perfect. And I say, hey, sir, the reason for the call, my name's Jeff. We have exceptional rates on commercial auto insurance. I was wondering, do you handle that for the business by chance? Right. And I got to work through this gatekeeper or get to the owner. And the woman's either going to say, oh, no, I don't handle that. That's the owner. His name's Chris. I say, great. Is Chris available? Oh, no, he's pretty busy. No problem. You have a better phone number for Chris? No, I don't. Okay, no problem. When is he in the office? He's usually here Tuesday mornings. Okay. I take my notes. I call Tuesday at 9 a.m. Okay. The other flip side of the cold call is, by any chance, ma'am, do you handle the insurance with the business? Oh, yes, you're talking to the right person. Awesome. I knew I was speaking to somebody important. Hey, ma'am, would you give me a shot if I could turn a quote around for your business? How many vehicles do you guys have? Over 10 or under 10? Over 10. I just literally saved a guy, and we're writing a lot in Arizona. Okay. I just saved a guy in Mesa, Arizona, $25,000 on 7 commercial vehicles. Would you give me an opportunity to do the same for your business? And then it's a yes or no, right? I'm trying to get the deck pages. I'm trying to do that thing, right? So that's how we get insurance. You guys right now just follow up on a quote and say, hey, let's get that quote rolling, blah, 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 blah. So you have sped up this prospecting process by like 10x. So just realize the leads you guys get are like so desired in the industry, but we cannot use any form of automation. But that's just something that I wanted you guys to understand, is that's how we have to market commercial policies in general, is true cold calling. Like, I'm calling through the business, going through my office manager and trying to get me on the phone. It doesn't work, right? But you got to figure out how it works. So from that, once you gather that information, I try to turn that quote around same day. Because again, I want to deliver, and I want them to be like, damn, this guy's sharp, right? Like, if it's a bigger quote and it's 10 autos, I'm going to do it the same day, and I'm going to text it to them, and I'm going to say, here's the quote. It's only $789 a month. Let me know when we can get this rolling. Okay. My follow-up to that is, okay, hey, John, what day can we get your new commercial auto insurance going? Notice that follow-up. The verbiage is very important. Hey, John, what day can we get your new? Okay, I'm not following up on the same objection I left off on. Like, for example, let's say when before he says, oh yeah, email it to me, I'll think about it. Okay, I'm not going to call him and say, hey, Chris, this is Jeff. Hey, did you think about it? Oh, you've been busy? Oh, okay, no problem. When can I follow up with you again? Oh, okay, a couple weeks? Oh, sure, no problem. Okay, great. I call him again in a couple weeks. Hey, John, this is Jeff, State Farm, just following up. Hey, did you think about it? Oh, you've been busy. Hey, no problem, man. Yeah. When you want me to? Okay. Oh, you're going to Maui for 3. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll call you in September. Oh, okay, man. Yeah. Thanks so much. Right. Does this set right? Trust me, I've been doing this for 10 years. I know how it goes. Okay. You need the fact, and you need to get to the what or when. Hey, John, this is Brian calling from Adelfia. Hey, what day can we get those new commercial autos started with Adelfia? I got to think about it, man. Absolutely. And you should. Now, do you like the idea of saving the $5,000 that we've showed that we're saving you? Go back right into the close. You need to cut through these commercial accounts and get yeses or nos much quicker, right? And that's done through the follow-up process, right? So you text, you email, you call, you use all your forms of communication. Try to get them to tell you, Brian, we're going to stay where we're at, man. Thank you. Because honestly, that's what you want to hear. Right? Because if he keeps telling, oh, call me later, I'm busy. Hey, we're busy too, man. I got a quote for you, and I got another 10 quotes that I'm doing, man. We're saving everybody money. So when can we do that for you? Right? And then, like I said, get the business lines, pivot to the personal, be an advisor, make a conversation like they've never heard before, and then protect them with the financial service that they don't have through their employer, because they are the employer. Right? Super simple process, that just knowing this game and knowing what you guys write, you guys could each write $50K a month if you follow that process. Simply put, 100%. And then you start throwing some financial service commission in there. Okay, now you're really starting to make some money.
Yeah. Super sharp. Guys, any questions at all for Jeff? Like anything, like as far as his experience, objections, follow-ups, big accounts, customer service, anything, guys, from all areas of his experience?
Well, Jeff, real quick, do you have any regrets of being captive? I mean, I personally worked with farmers before. I did not like the experience myself, which is why I came to try to get the brokerage to be more independent, have more access, more availability, more options, whatnot. If you had to go back 10 years from now again, would you take the same process, or would you try something different?
Brian, I would, because it's all I know. The saying is right, the grass is never greener on the other side. And I really believe that. We have the name, right? I mean, we're the nation's largest auto, home, life insurer. I mean, in the country, right? We've been that way for 83 years. All those things are great. However, okay, when I get 7 commercial autos dropped because the owner goes out and gets a DUI and I lose $25,000 out of my book of business and I can't just find a new carrier, it sucks, right? So I mean, like, but like I said though, right? I'm very grateful for my opportunity. I think just wherever life leads you and you feel comfortable, and like obviously broker seems like what matters to you, stay there.
Great
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good
Appreciate it,
question.
Jeff.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Jeff, you
Yeah,
really,
thank you.
you really nailed it. I think a ton of value. Honestly, yeah, I'm glad we recorded this because we can always watch this back as well and actually like process out some of the stuff you've said.
Sure.
Yeah, unless does anyone else have anything for Jeff?
Kelly, you got to have something. Give me something, Kelly.
No, I did just want to say that your public speaking skills are like really good. Really, really good. I'm sure that's from a lot of sales, over the years and whatnot, but I noticed that, yeah, they're just really good.
Thank you so much. Sometimes I get blessed with the ability to speak, so I really appreciate it.
What
Jeff,
gives-
I don't have any questions, but thank you. I just filled my notebook with a bunch of things you just said, so I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. Heard you're doing big things, man. So you keep it up, Calvin.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you, Jeff.
yeah, really, really appreciate
Really
you, Jeff.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Lots to think about. You left a lot of good clouds to sort through and think of and solidify into something that works for me personally. So thank you.
You drove the wedge on Jamel.
You did.
Sure, for sure. And guys, I'll email Chris those questions that I have. I mean, I'm adding to that all the time. I can send you also something. This guy is a training that I did recently with my team. His name was Scott Foster. So there's 20,000 State Farm agents. Okay, to be even top 100 in the company, like you're an absolute animal. We actually got top 100 in the company in 2022 for business lines, which was like our biggest achievement. It's the most prestigious award. It's called President's Club.
You're
This,
an animal.
thank you. This guy, okay, and let me reference animal. That's one line. That's one line of business. This guy,
Amazing.
number one in the company in auto, fire, home, life, and disability for 21 straight years. That is like no one has ever come close to that. This guy's like the OG godfather of liability, just discussions, life insurance, disability. I mean, if you want, and again, in this game, okay, you're going to notice anybody that's doing well is going to speak the same way. Right. But within that, what I was saying is like, I listened to this training and he gave us probably like 75 questions that I'll send over. And they're just questions as an advisor, what to ask. Hey, what would happen if you got disabled tomorrow? What kind of emergency fund are you sitting on? Great question to ask a business owner, right? For a policy that they don't have through their work. And I don't mean to jump down that financial service hole, but I mean, there's also some great liability questions in there as well. I'll forward that over. So that's the Scott Foster training. That's who Scott Foster is. I just want to give him the proper introduction. That's where those questions came from. And then I'll also on a Word doc give you all the questions that I train my team on, right? Are you aware of how your bodily injury and property damage limits can directly affect your retirement savings? How did you choose your limits? Who helped you? When's the last time you sat down with an insurance agent and went over your coverages in detail, right? And then the most important one, what are you protecting with those coverages, right? And then you go into the story, right? My job is to protect you from those injury lawyers you see off the side of the 405. I recently had 3 lawyers come into my office so we can ask them a couple of questions. And I don't know if you knew this, but the way that an incident works, if you cause a major car accident and you're under 40, they can sue you for 10 times your income and any assets you have. So I noticed that you mentioned you're a homeowner. How much equity do you have in your home right now? 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand? Oh, 300 grand. Great. What's your annual income? 60K? Great. 600,000 times 10. You got any money in any retirement accounts, 401k? What's in there? I don't know, 30 grand. You do some simple math. So we have a $900,000 liability nest egg that we need to protect. And John, you're telling me you have coverage for 50K?
It's crazy when you see actually people that have multiple assets just trying to save a few bucks on auto insurance with like 50K, 50, 100, 300. It's just like, what are you doing? I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
I agree.
they're heavily underinsured.
And just remember, right? Umbrellas are any umbrella you guys sell keeps the business on the books for 10 years. There's been a study that policies that go on the books, like auto, home, no umbrella, they leave quick when a rate increase happens, right? Auto goes up, home goes up, they're shopping on price, they're going to leave you for price. But when you approach it like that, and they're like, damn, like Calvin was talking to me about this, like, I've never heard the stuff he was asking me. Like, he was asking me about my income. I was like, man, I bought the thing online with Geico. They didn't give a shit about any of this stuff, right? So that's where, when the price goes up, remember, the value is always there. Yeah. So they, because of that, they didn't switch because you just saved them $20 a month and blah, blah, blah. So it's a totally different way to approach this. But again, you're an advisor. You're not just an insurance quoter trying to save people money all day. Right?
For sure. Yeah, no, that's great stuff, Jeff. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, we'll do, I think you also sent over like that little sheet where you multiplied them out by 10 and you had it all like gaps filled in.
Yeah.
So we'll use that. I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of that. And I'm a big believer in everything Jeff's saying, guys. It's not just like a strategy to use to make more sales. Like, this is truly our duty as insurance advisors to do this and like keep this in top of mind and get people a little bit uncomfortable thinking about just beyond saving 20, $50 a month. You know, like, we have a much larger responsibility, you know, in our roles than just saving people money. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much. One quote, you guys are super welcome. The quote went like this. It was,
a cheap insurance policy of $10 to $15 a month savings can become the most financially expensive decision of your life.
Okay, Ryan, thanks so much.
Do you want me to team that to you, Jeff?
No, it's all good. Thanks, man.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyways, if you guys heard,
I love Ryan.
That is a super powerful like statement, right? When people are like, oh, I just want to save money, right? You always agree and you hit them with that statement. Hopefully somebody wrote that down. I can't even think of it now. But
a cheaper insurance policy of $10 to $15 can be one of the most expensive decisions of your life, or something along those lines.
That was it. We should write it down.
Yep. So just remember this, because guys, umbrella policies are cheap too, right? They're like $20. Okay. It's the cheap bucks you'd ever spend to ensure that you can retire on time.
I'm sorry.
Right?
No, they're more.
So great stuff, guys. You keep getting after them.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Really appreciate it, man. Guys, that's pretty much it. We'll wrap it up here, and everyone have a great rest of your day. Keep crushing the rest of the week. Jeff, good luck to you and your team, and really appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much. Bye.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank
Bye.
you.